We got a big game Monday night here in the 305. We got the University of Coral Gables. Some of them call them the University of Miami. And the Indiana Hoosiers. Big time matchup. Let's get your guys' thoughts. Obviously,
look at this guy. He's already
he's already there.
I mean, this guy's already pulled up the pooch cam twice in the first 10 minutes.
I have to defend the Canes, man. I have to defend the Canes.
You'll have your chance. You'll have your chance.
We'll
have your chance. But as we get into it, Wingo, I'm going to kick it off to you, all right? There's a lot of noise about how dominant Indiana is. So my question to you and to the rest of the group, is Indiana too overhyped going into this game?
All right, look, so, I mean, I'll start off with just saying, you know, obviously University of Miami has had a great season, right? When you look at the Hard Rock Stadium, they have very rarely been able to pack out that stadium. Just meaning that, you know, the campus is down in Coral Gables, you know, the stadium's in Miami Gardens, but this game's going to be packed. The atmosphere is going to be electric. You know, when you look at Fernando Mendoza coming down back to Miami, right? His family's here. Half the stadium's going to be full with his family. And then Miami being able to play at home, the alumni. Mike Warren's going to be on the sideline going nuts. But when I look at Indiana overall, right, I look at a complete team. A guy like Fernando Mendoza who has less incompletions than he does interceptions. This guy is electric. He's smart. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's prepared. He's calm under pressure. And then you just look at their run game, right? Their defense and the guys that they've just brought back and able to constantly execute. You know, I don't think Indiana is overrated. You know, but Miami's really got to step up. When you look at last game, you know, they had a lot of missed opportunities, having things like dropped interceptions. They have a few injuries on the D-line. And I think those are the things that's going to determine the game, right? Who's winning the turnover battle? Who can run the ball and stop the run? You know, Indiana has a great 1-2 punch at running back. Obviously, Fernando's zipping it in the corners and the lines. But then you got Miami, right? Carson Beck has been playing on an elite level right now, being able to be conservative, right? Make the right decisions, not turn over the ball. Mark Fletcher's rushing for over 100 yards a game. You know, they have their receivers that are standing out. Their D-line is getting after it. You know, who wants to go against a team with Messidor and Ruben Bain on both sides of the ball? I mean, that's pretty scary. So I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think Indiana is, you know, overrated, but it's going to come down to the turnover battle at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I think something interesting, too, to talk about is Miami's path to the national championship, right? When they kind of snuck in, you know, for a lot of, obviously, we know the dialogue and the conversation of getting in over Notre Dame and all these other situations that unfolded, right? Miami proved, obviously, they deserve to be in here. But their path, compared to pretty much anybody else, was one of the bigger gauntlets of the college football playoffs. So I think Miami has proven, like, they maybe can hang with Indiana, right? Yeah. And it's been a defense-first approach, right? Led by that D-line, led by good corner play. Like, they have done a very good job of leveraging their strengths to get to this point. Where do you see, I guess, like an advantage where maybe can kind of take advantage in this game? Obviously, we know how good Indiana's offensive line is, how good their defense is, how efficient Fernando's been, and just great decision-making, amazing in the red zone. I forget what the stats are, but the red zone stats are ridiculous with that offense. But where's that maybe advantage for Miami? Obviously, offensive line is one of those things. But where do you see kind of like an opportunity for Miami to take advantage?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Miami's defense. I just spoke about Ruben Bain and Messidor. Hopefully, Moten is definitely a big key on the D-line. Hopefully, he's healthy for this game. And then you just look at, you know, they've been almost leading the country in sacks, right? I mean, that right there determines the ball game. Indiana is very efficient on third down. I think it's 58% on third down, and that's something that, you know, sets up the success for the game, because you look at, right, first and second down, if you're able to get to that manageable, you know, offense, running the ball on first down to get it to 2nd and 5, or, you know, getting a completed pass to make it, you know, 2nd and 3. Now you're completing third downs. Now you're moving down the field and moving the sticks, and that's what Indiana's been able to do so successfully. So that's where now I'm leaning on guys like Messidor and Bain, hopefully Moten. You know, they got some very productive linebackers. They have a cornerback coming back for this game. So can they get to that, you know, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, to make, you know, Indiana have to throw the ball downfield, make, you know, Fernando Mendoza make those throws. You know, he's a Heisman winner. He can make those throws, but let's see him do it on another high stage for a national championship. So, you know, I think that's what it's going to come down to, but Miami definitely has the pieces in place to be able to get this done.
Absolutely. Bobby, Dave, give me kind of your 2 cents on the game. Obviously, you guys have been watching these games I know we all know, and if you don't know, Dave is a very big anti-UM guy.
I'm just a generational hater. Right? I am a hater through and through. But for me, even as somebody who I'm not obviously like you mentioned, I'm not a Canes guy, right?
Yeah.
But even as not being a Canes guy, I was shocked by the spread and kind of almost the disrespect that I feel like they're getting in the sense of like everyone's kind of crowning Indiana already. They're putting the crown on before the ceremony. And as good as I think Indiana is, I think they're going to win. I don't think Miami can't win this game, right? Like I think Miami absolutely is live to win this game. And like everything Wingo just said, I mean, it really comes down to their defense. Their defense alone, when that opening spread came out, I'm like, dude, this defense, if you remove the offense, this defense can keep this within a touchdown, keep it within a one-score game. So I'm a bit shocked by the number. I'm a bit shocked by like the conversation around it. I mean, people are throwing around like 2019 LSU and like 2001 Canes. And I'm like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I do think this Indiana team is amazing, but, you know, I don't know if they're that good yet, like to be put in that conversation. And I think Miami is going to be a big test for them. I really do. I think this is going to be a really good game and a game between two really good defenses. And obviously, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis is Mendoza, baby.
Mendoza, baby.
I really do think
Mendoza.
that Miami does have a really good chance to win this game. I really do.
I think I was going to say one more thing. When you look at Indiana, right, you know, one of the higher scoring, you know, offenses, obviously. You know, I also take a step back to look at their schedule, who they've played. You know, I was speaking to one of my buddies, and they were talking about, you know, when Miami played Ohio State and when Indiana played Ohio State. I think that was at two levels of play, right? When you look at Indiana, they weren't playing as much top competition throughout the entire season. Right? Miami was playing some more top guys, so they were more battle tested. So they were able to, you know, hang in that game a lot more and separate themselves. Indiana's game, that was a little bit closer. So that's when it comes down to, right, playing up to that level of competition and getting on the big stage. So both these teams are definitely going to clash and go at it. But, you know, it's going to come down to, you know, that defense making a stop with those big guys on the edge, as well as, you know, can Carson Beck make those critical throws to Malachi Toney down the field? Can we complete those big-time passes, you know, explosive plays, and not miss it by 2 or 3 yards? And that's going to be the difference in this game.
Yeah. Bobby, I kind of want to piggyback off of that. Give me your thoughts on Carson Beck in this game. We saw what he did at the end of that Ole Miss game, right? Is this kind of like a catalyst of what he can do? How much are they going to rely on him in this game? So I'm curious to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have another big performance. I mean, if they're going to have a chance, he's going to have to pull it out of his hat again. He had a legacy game last week. Obviously, big part of the win, you know, running it in for the touchdown to seal the game was huge. But I think you can't lean on Carson Beck. If you need Carson Beck to pull you out of the mud, it's probably too late. So I think they're going to have to play good defense, run the football, kind of keep things close, and try to just play fundamental ball. And, you know, we've seen it. If Carson Beck needs to make a play down the stretch, he can do it. But I don't think you need to put Carson Beck in a situation where he's throwing the ball 35 times or anything like that.
Yeah. What about how do you, if the game goes, and we can get everybody's perspective on this, but Bobby, I'll start with you. Does UM, I guess, benefit from more of a shootout or a close defensive kind of game?
I say close. I don't think they have the firepower. I like a lot of their pieces, but I think we all see it. I'm not a Miami guy. You know, I'm surrounded by Joe who yells in my ear about it all the time. And he's like, basically all I hear Kane fans saying is run the damn ball. Run the damn ball.
Yeah.
So their best game is playing great defense. And that's something that for a while there, I think I underestimated how good their defense is. Like their defense is actually legit. Like, so I think their best way to win a game, especially a game of this magnitude against a team so good, is just maybe get that early turnover like they beat Ohio State, get a quick pick six, get a quick like, whoa, we wasn't ready for that. Play great defense, run the ball, and kind of control time possession. I think that's their best way to win.
Yeah. Wingo, what do you think?
You know, I think, you know, there's a lot of things that's going to go down in this game. You know, when I look at, I think the trenches is going to be a big factor. Miami's got to run the football. Mark Fletcher is very reliable. He gets, you know, those 5 to 6 yards a carry. And that's, you know, what I was talking about earlier. When you get to that, you know, third and manageable, second and manageable, so we can open up your playbook a little bit. You can, you know, take shots down the field on second down and still know you have third down to go get that first down again. So I think that's what it's really going to come down to at the end of the day. Who can run the ball better? And then, you know, I think another take I had, if Moton's not playing in this football game, right, I think that, you know, has a little bit of a strain on Miami's defense just because of the pushback and the knockback in the center D line of Miami, just because of the way how complete Indiana's D-line is. When you look at, their play calling, their scheme, being able to pull the center, pull the guards outside around the tackle, and run the football behind them. These guys play together. You saw, they won the MVP of the Rose Bowl, and these guys are playing behind Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to the trenches, how well they can run the ball on both sides and stop the run.
Hell yeah. Oh, I agree. Something interesting that's been kind of like a big talking point, right, is that Indiana players are old, right? Like some people are saying that these guys are too old. They're probably not of age and maybe should not be in college. What's your guys' kind of take on that? As you can see here, we got the I am 12 from the bench warmers on here.
That's experience. That's what they're bringing. And I think that's kind of, what he's been able to do, Kurt Signetti, is, coming from JMU, he brought a lot of those guys with him. He's built this culture of guys that want to stay there and be a part of something. So I think it's funny. I think it's cool. It's, rare you see a lot of these teams, obviously in college, they're young kids, but these guys are a lot of seniors, a lot of older guys. So I don't know. I think it's cool, and I think that's why they're so good, right? They have the snaps, they've got the play time, like they've gelled, they've become one, and that's why they're freaking nasty, dude.
Agreed.
I think I wasn't concerned until I found out Wingo was trying to find an extra year of eligibility. And then I was like, all right, hold the hell up. This is crazy.
Yeah, Wingo's going to go get that money.
Yeah.
Wingo was self-negotiating contracts. He's like, Rosenhaus was like, whoa, chill, brother. You don't get commission off your own deals. Like, chill. But, no, I think at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, right? I think a lot of it's crazy. The NIL definitely needs to be filtered and kind of figured out a little better. But the rules are the rules, right? If they let you play 7 years, play 7 years. And man, I think it also, of course, everybody cries when teams are good. When it works, it's a problem. If the Indiana was Indiana per usual, no one would care about this.
True.
But they're beating people up and rolling over people, and they seem like a buzzsaw and unstoppable. So everybody's like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
So
and
the rules are the rules.
And the thing is, they're also doing this with 3-star guys and a lot of mainly three. I think it's what was the stat, Wingo? I don't know if you got it. But
all the playoff teams, they have between like 30 and like 55 4 and 5 stars, right? Indiana has 8. And that goes to show you right there, right? They're a committed team. They've bought into the program. They've bought into Coach Signetti. And they've really just built something there with the guys that were lower level talented when they're coming out of high school. And they're able to get to this point to be in a national championship.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a big game. We have a lot of storylines, too, that I think we should definitely touch on, right? Obviously, Natty's here in Miami, right? First time in the college football playoff era that the home team is playing in the national championship, right? Or host city team is playing in the national championship. You got Cristobal from Miami. Obviously went to high school down here. Shout out Christopher Columbus High School, baby. You know I'm going to plug it in. Let's go. And then
Fernando Mendoza,
obviously you got
Christopher Columbus High School.
Yes, go, baby.
don't forget Fernando Mendoza, Belen legend. Belen legend.
But you got Cristobal, you got Fern, you got the host city. It's a massive opportunity for like the storyline of Miami, right? And I think some fans here in Miami, obviously you got your diehard UM fans that are like, hell yeah, like we're going for UM, right? But it's like one of these things, like you got to root for a guy like Fernando if you're just a Miami guy or a Miami girl, right? Like the story of Fernando, unrecruited basically out of high school. Yale was pretty much his only offer. Gets an offer from Cal kind of at the last second, and then he's not even a starter at Cal, right? Then gets the starting job at Cal, does really well there, and then obviously rest is history, right? So to be able to see Fernando's story and then bring it back home, and not only play in Miami, play against the school that was his dream school kind of growing up, right? Played in the camps. I'm sure you guys have seen some of those interviews where he's there at the Manny Diaz camp, doing his reps, saying like, I would love to play for the U. So it's a little like, do you think there's a little bit of like let me one more last, like, let me prove it to
revenge
you,
game.
playing against you, like revenge game type feel?
Yeah, so I'll definitely say this is not only just almost like a revenge story for Fernando Mendoza, it's everything for him. When you look at his Heisman speech, when you look at things like his family, right, his mom, being able to be there for her, his foundation, the message that he sent out to all those kids who didn't have the opportunity, weren't recruited highly out of high school, were told that they didn't have what it takes to get to that next level. Like he is the testament to what it takes to get to that next level and be successful. And he's using his platform amazing. right? He is the dream person that you want in your locker room to be your leader. And I think it's just so much more than, just playing back in Miami and playing back at home and playing for his family, being able to represent those that didn't have the opportunity, be able to do this for his mom and everybody that's, been there for him this entire time. And I think, that shows, the dedication every single day, showing up, being a leader for these guys. You see how bought in he is. You see the level of, commitment. This guy doesn't have any social media. He's only on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn guy, baby. I
Instagram
love it.
or Twitter, man.
What a dog.
And he's right about that stuff. That stuff can be a distraction, and he knows that, and he's been able to, stay locked in, stay focused, have tunnel vision. And I see this guy playing a long, long time in the NFL, and, I'm excited for Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to see him unleashed in Vegas. What a personality to have out there in Vegas, baby. I love it.
I know. So, somebody made an interesting comment on one of the pods that we had just released with Fern, and it's like, obviously everything's lining up for him to be in Vegas, to be a Raider, as kind of what it looks like. But being under Brady, right? Brady's obviously a part owner of the team. He's involved with the team. So having a guy like Fernando come in, which kind of gives like a little bit of like this Brady vibe, underdog story. Obviously he's going to be drafted way higher than Brady was. But leading up to this point, right? Obviously Fern got to this point, but you're talking about a year ago, Fern was not that guy, right? Yeah. So being able to learn from a guy like Brady, I mean, shit, man, the sky's the limit for that kid, and the work ethic, and everyone calls him a nerd, but he's a football nerd, right? And he's a dude, bro. Yeah. He's a dude.
And listen, it starts Monday. Like, this is the moment for him to cement his college legacy. And I mean, if he goes out, and I was listening to someone the other day, it's like, when was the last time we saw a Heisman winner even level up their game after winning it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's almost entered another level in these last two games than even the regular season. Yeah. Like he's playing at an unreal level, and that's why they're dominating teams. I mean, he's so efficient. Like you mentioned, the red zone thing. I think it's 32 or 34 passing touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's efficient. They don't make mistakes. He specifically doesn't make too many mistakes. And even when he does, like that Oregon game, regular season, he throws that pick six. Next drive, boom, driving down the field. I mean, I can't say anything more about this kid. I think he's awesome, and I can't wait to see him dominate on Monday.
The stats are kind of crazy. Like, he'll go 15 for 17, like 2 incompletions on the whole game. It's crazy. Bobby, you got something?
Yeah, I think we make a lot of jokes about the NIL and the fucking transfer portal or whatever, but I think one of the coolest things for me has been, like you were saying, no one knew who he was last year. The transfer thing has let a lot of guys slow cook and get on bigger stages and become the guy they're supposed to be. You think about Cam Ward. Cam Ward came all the way from the bottom. End up being a number 1 overall pick. Now you got Mendoza going to be the number 1 overall pick. You got Trinidad over here. He's fighting for his 6th year or whatever, but Trinidad was a no-name guy too. So the one good thing about the transfer portal is guys that maybe wasn't ready when they were 18 years old have a chance to slow cook and then get on a bigger stage and kind of move up the ranks at their level, at their speed, and it's worked out. So that's one good thing about it is guys that normally wouldn't get the recognition, a guy that just wasn't ready out of high school that had to go to whatever, D3, whatever, they end up playing 4 years there and never get recognition, never get spotlight, never get found out, maybe never get drafted. These guys go work, 9-to-5 jobs, end up, getting hired by Tranquilo Sports. And, but it's like, that's a cool part of it.
Yeah. Well, Fern's ready to get a job because guys active on LinkedIn, bro. So.
Yeah, that's true. One of my favorite things they do is update his LinkedIn after every win, and he's got a lot of them now, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see guys who do enter the transfer portal and end up successful. But now looking at it on the other side, right, you have about, the transfer portal actually ends today, and you have about, 3,000 guys still in that portal.
Crazy.
Right? And you got to realize that they're done playing football. Like, there's not another opportunity for them to get on a team. So, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? But it's exciting to really do see those stories play out for the guys that it is. But, sometimes there's a lot of guys right now that are in the portal figuring out, hey, can I come back to the school I was just at? I don't have an home anymore. Yeah. So, I think it goes both ways just to know that, just because you're going to transfer, it's not always going to work out. If you're chasing the money, if you're chasing, whatever it might be because you're unhappy or something like that. But hey, it's worked out for a lot of guys that have been successful, not only in the NFL, but in college football. But I just hope guys take a second to really, have a plan for what they do before they're going in the portal. right? Have a list of schools maybe that they're interested in. You know, have a good agent or someone that can kind of take care of you. But yeah, it's important because, you know, why, you know, look at a 19-year-old and be like, I'm in the portal, don't get picked up, and now you're kind of looking for a job or figuring out how you're going to, you know, be in school and finish school. So that's something definitely to take into context as well.
Yeah,
So let me ask-
pull up Wingo's business card.
Let me ask you something, Wingo. You said like you don't get to go somewhere else if it doesn't work out. Talk about kind of the pros and cons of like sitting on a better team as a fifth string, but being on a team, and like kind of how do you weigh those choices and go out there and put yourself out there knowing you might not find a place, but you're not going to settle for being a fifth string at LSU. So maybe you do drop to UL and you're a starter now, or maybe you go roll that dice, you don't get picked up. Talk about kind of like what goes into that decision and the risk there.
Yeah, so one of the things I'll definitely say, I say this to everybody that I always talk to, you know, team success most of the time brings individual success. And that's just about being bought into the program and winning games, right? If you're winning games, you're going to get looked at more. And I use, for example, right, 2019 LSU, almost everybody on that entire team got drafted. And got drafted a lot higher than, you know, they would have been if they weren't winning football games. Besides maybe the few, right, Joe Burrow and some of those guys. But a lot of those guys got drafted higher just because they were on that national team, right? So, you know, if you're looking at someone where you're at a fifth string or a fourth string, you know, obviously you want to get that reps. And, you know, playing football and being on the field is the only way you're going to get NIL deals, or you're going to get recognition, or coaches are going to see you. But I do look at it as a perspective of like, hey, you know, if I'm still getting reps and still playing at Ohio State or at Alabama or somewhere where a team is, you know, playing on that national level and playing against competition, you know, I look at you and I'm like, you're battle tested, right? You've been against, you know, these top guys and can compete with them. And then when you look at someone like a smaller school, you know, the question is, you know, yeah, they've been dominating, but it's not going against good talent. But then another thing I'm going to say is, you know, there's always going to be questions no matter what, right? No matter where, if you go to the Senior Bowl, if you're going at the Combine, they're going to say something negative if you were at Ohio State or if you were at Bethune-Cookman, right? The Bethune-Cookman guy had 2,000 yards, but he wasn't going against top guys. The guy at Alabama, he was a second string, and, you know, he got it against lower level teams. There's always going to be questions. There's always going to be doubters. There's always going to be people that just, you know, don't believe in it. And it's just about proving it day in and day out, you know, and that's where it comes down to the type of guy you are, the personality, who they think you are in the locker room, you know, just a little bit about, you know, can you do the X's and O's? And I've seen plenty of guys, you know, be dominant on the football field. And then when it's time to get an interview or a meeting or you know, draw some things up and they're clueless and they don't know what's going on because their college catered to, you know, just their talent and telling them to go out and play football. That doesn't work at the next level. So that's something guys, you know, need to understand is being a complete player allows you to not only just stay in the NFL for longer, but can allow you to stay healthy, you know, do the right things by getting treatment and taking care of your body and the right nutrition. There's so many different things that goes into just being a complete football player. And, you know, that's someone where I look at Fernando Mendoza, who exactly that is.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. All right,
Brother.
Before we move on, let's get some score predictions on the game. And by the way, Wingo's comment is just going to stay there, I think, for the rest of the show. So we're just going to shout out Wingo and all exclamation.
Shout out Rolling with
all
Carlos.
exclamation. I think it's stuck. So Rolling with Carlos, you're getting a nice big shout out on the show today.
Hey, welcome to the show, Rolling with Carlos. Let's go. Welcome, baby.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's kind of stuck up there. I'm trying to take it down. So Rolling with Carlos, you know, bro, you know, congratulations to you, dog. You're the featured comment of the whole show.
He's got Wingo blushing, man. He's got Wingo. Look at Wingo blushing, man.
I love what comment it's stuck on, too.
I thought it was cooking. I thought we were just leaving it up there. I was like, yeah.
Wingo was feeling it, bro. Wingo was feeling it the whole time. He's like, hell yeah, I love this.
Well, anybody who watches the show knows that Wingo cooks. And this is just more of a platform for Wingo to be cooking. So this is perfect.
I think somebody made a comment I briefly saw there, something about the eye contact. So, you know,
Wingo staring into his eye. Over Carlos.
That's amazing. All right, real quick, let's get some score predictions. Bobby, you kick it off. Give me your score prediction for the Natty.
I love putting Bobby on the hot seat.
Nothing worse, and I get this a lot, nothing worse than being put on the spot first. Honestly, boys, I don't know, man.
Yeah, me either.
I think, hate to do it. I know this is the first show, probably a lot of South Florida people in the chat. Indiana 31, Canes 20, 21. I mean, I think Indiana's just a fine old machine right now. Canes got a couple injuries. Signetti's got the boys humming. I mean, he ain't cracked a smile in 37 weeks. I mean, I think he smiles after the game. That'd be a good over/under bet. Does he smile finally? But Signetti's got the boys humming. Mendoza's in full control. They're the only team. I was telling somebody this. They're the only team that has the #1 consensus overall pick at quarterback and will show up and put him on ice and run the ball down your throat and just play great defense. It's like they don't even need it all the time. It's like insane how good Indiana is.
Yeah,
Love it.
I'm with you, Dave. Let me hear it.
I'm also rolling with the Hoosiers. I think it's, again, I said they're going to cover the spread. I still think they're going to do it. They're still losing by a touchdown. I got 27-20. I got Indiana. I got Mendoza. Lighting them up. I guess 27. You can't. Yeah, 4 touchdowns, missed extra point, gets you to 27. All right, Mendoza's going to have more touchdowns than incompletes again in this game. But I still think it's going to be a really good game, and I'm very excited for it. But 27-20, lock it in.
Let's hear it, Wingo.
I'm gonna go 23-31 Indiana. I say that because the spread is 8.5, and you know how they like it. So I'm gonna play it right there on the line.
Flagrant towing the line.
Yeah, so I think Indiana's gonna pull it off. I just think they're too much of a complete team. I think Miami's gonna, they're gonna dogfight it all the way out. It's gonna be a turnover battle game, but 31 to 23 Indiana Hoosiers.
Very nice.
Andre, I'm going to tell you something before you go.
Okay.
We've now got 3 picks for Indiana. We don't want to do,
we got one over here.
Okay, good. Let's make sure we get Pooch's pick, because I don't want,
we got
the
Pooch's pick
classic
coming.
jinx.
Don't you worry.
Everyone in Indiana, we are rooting for them. So, it's like, let's make sure. Okay.
We're not going to let that happen. Pooch is, unless he wants to play games and he doesn't root for his own team, but.
You want to get my prediction?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let him go first.
I was gonna let you go last to close it out, but you want to go, and then I can make my play.
I'm gonna give my same prediction I gave. We did an episode yesterday. I think it's gonna be 20-10 Canes.
Wow. Whoa, wait, 20-10. You think Indiana's only dropping 10?
I think Indiana's gonna drop 10 points in this game.
That's crazy.
Cocky Poochie, I love it.
Yeah.
Cocky Poochie,
I
baby,
think
let's
they're
go.
gonna score 10 points. I think we're gonna rattle Mendoza's cage.
You do not talk bad about my boy Mendoza over
I don't
there, all
want
right?
to. It's a messed up position for me. But I gotta go with my colors, dude.
At least you can pick the Canes to win, but 10 points, bro? The disrespect.
They only put 13 on Ohio State.
Get out of here, bro.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Crickets.
Hey, look, that's my 2 cents. That's what I think the score is gonna be. Listen, we've seen it before, man. We've seen Indiana get into close games with some of these teams, especially Ohio State, our common opponent. So I don't see why, our defense can come in, get some pressure, and force some mistakes, man. That's the thing. Indiana is a team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, especially, on the turnover margin. I think they have the #1 turnover margin in all of college football. They're #1 in penalties against. So this isn't a team that makes a lot of mistakes. So I think our defense is going to force them to make mistakes, critical mistakes. That's going to force them to, lose possession, give us the ball. And, when we get the ball, we're going to hold that shit for 14, 15-minute drives. That's the reality of it.
Let him know.
Change the comment to Pooch. Pooch's comment's got to be up there.
Cocky ass Pooch, I love it.
No, it's not
man.
cocky, bro. I'm confident in this team. Look, all the credit to Indiana. They're a hell of a football team.
Oh, don't do that.
Don't do that. Here we go.
Don't do that. Oh,
They're a
yeah,
good
sure.
football
Like little Indiana.
But I
Stop
think-
it, Pooch.
I think the path of teams that Canes able to get here, they've beaten three top 10 consensus teams. Texas A&M was top 3 before the last week of the season. Ohio State was the national championship.
So is
favorite.
Indiana, though. Indiana's beating Ohio
Indiana was
State,
up there,
Oregon,
obviously.
and
so it only makes
Bama.
sense for us to take down #1 on the way. We're just going up the ladder of the top 10 teams, and right now we're going to end it with Indiana.
All right.
I think we're going to go in there. We're
That's
at
the
home,
rationale. Just climb the
and
ladder.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
One
why
at a
not?
time.
Why not the
Corporate-
Canes?
corporate
They have the
ladder,
talent,
baby.
they have the mentality, and anyone that watches Canes games, we love the underdog.
Oh, boy.
Role. We love being under. We love the 10-point spreads against Ohio State, and we went there and we smacked that shit. So 8.5.
Oh, my. Get this production cam off the damn fucking screen.
Guys,
We
we're the
smacked that
national
shit.
championship, and I can't talk.
Hey, put that on a shirt. Smack that shit. Quote Pooch.
Michael
pause,
Irvin with the
big
belt.
pause.
Michael
Yeah.
Irvin with the
Big
belt.
pause.
That sounds like one of them.
No, go, Bobby. Go.
That sounds like one of them Cajun seasoning companies down here in Louisiana. Put that on a fucking bottle of Tony's and sell it for fucking $10.
It's like those shirts they sell at the outside of the stadium. She's like, bitch, I'm a dolphin. Like it's like,
Built to ass.
yeah.
Oh my god. I was gonna keep it nice and close, but after that, give me 38-20 Indiana.
All right, let's go,
Let's
Drake.
go. They're gonna blow it up in the fourth. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh,
Let's
man.
go.